Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? Welcome, everyone. My name is Shirley, and I'm going to be your moderator tonight. This evening, we're joined by Angelica Corcoran. She's a dental hygienist, an educator, and a communication coach from eAssist Dental Solution, who's going to talk to us about three ways to avoid a dental billing mess. So this is really important information. We'd love for this to be an engaging conversation tonight. So just a bit of housekeeping. If you guys have any questions, please, we invite you to type them in to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we're going to address them at the end of the webinar, so after Angelica's presentation. CE is not available for this webinar live or in demand, but we will be emailing, we are recording this, and we will be emailing it out, recording of tonight's webinar to everyone who registered. So you'll be able to get that information. In the meantime, I want to welcome you, Angelica, for being with us tonight, and take it away. I pass it over to you.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome everyone tonight. Thanks for being here with me tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. Like she says, I have over 25 years of experience in the dental industry. My father was actually a dentist, so that's all I've done my whole life. I've been able to be in each part of the dental office as a dental assistant, dental office manager, a hygienist, and I've learned along the way what works and what doesn't work. And I work for this wonderful company, which is eAssist, and we are able to put a company together that will eliminate those errors, making sure your practice runs smoothly. I'm going to talk about a bunch of things, and I'm going to go through the slides. And if you have any questions, like she says, please put in a Q&A, and I'll do my best to answer. If I don't have the answer for you today, I'll make sure to get it at some other time and send it to whoever needs it. The idea of a successful dental practice is to have patients coming in from the moment that they have that phone call to the office to the moment they walk out with that next visit already scheduled, and having a pleasant experience throughout those steps, which is the step from the phone call to gather that information for insurance purposes, to gather the information for your treatment plan, to be well and explained to you, having a pleasant time with your dentist or your hygienist, and also walking out and knowing that someone is there to greet you and making sure that your next appointment is set up and explaining to you well. So we take over a lot of that in the back end as doing a remotely work for you. So you can then pay attention and give that attention to who's in front of you, which is your patient. I'm sure you all heard all of the things that are happening now in the remote world. We are able to do so much more and so much more efficiency done through our remote working, and I'm going to talk about it, and you're going to be able to see how that's done. All right, so pretty much this slide here is going to show us everything that you need to know for us to have a smooth transition from going from in office to put it that, in a remote working for someone to take over and give you that peace of mind that you need to attend to your patients that are in front of you. The number one that we see that happens that can cause problems or issues with your claims being either delayed, rejected, or not even make it to the insurance company is your pre-appointment readiness plan. What does that mean? That is all the information that you are collecting from your patient, meaning when the person that's taking that insurance information, the date of birth, the ID number, the address, that person that's greeting the patient and taking that first accurate information to make sure that when we do send clean claims, which is the next thing we're going to talk about it's going with the correct information. It is one of the most important things that we need to send a claim and getting that claim paid in a time manner, and also avoid any problems with, like I said, mistakes of taking date of births or ID number or even misspelling of the name. A lot of the times when we are in a busy environment in a dental office, people that are working at the front desk as a receptionist, they are checking patient in, checking patient out, answering the phone. And sometimes that information that we gather on the phone can be easily, you can easily make an error because you are multitasking. So that's one of the features that eAssist offers as well. The next one, that's the slide that I was just talking about. Readiness also has to do with treatment planning, offering that treatment plan to the patient, making sure that the patient understands the cost and any other additional information they might need up to returning, right? Some patients, I've worked in many, many practices in my whole life, and I've witnessed patients come in for appointments where they show up and they don't know what they're there for. I've seen patients show up in dental offices and say, what is my appointment for today? What am I doing? So that's not, what we call it, a successful practice, like the idea of having from the phone call, from the patient coming in to the patient walk out. A lot of this is also helpful when you do a morning huddle where we gather together in the dental office and we know who's coming in for what. If there's any indication of any wheelchair it might be needed for certain patients or things of that nature. So everyone is on the same page and everyone can work together. On that same note, believe it or not, 80% of the work that is avoiding you to get that full effect of your collecting your money that's yours for your work, it is done upon greeting the patient, gathering the information, putting the information in the system, and then presenting that to the patient. That's where majority of the mistake happens. It's on that first part of the phone call, the first phone call, when the patients arrive and gathering information. Sometimes patients, as you know, do show up at dental offices without A, insurance card information, or B, their spouse have the insurance information. They don't know, they have to call the spouse. So if that first phone call is done with a agenda of questions you're going to ask the patients and collect from them, and that being a person that's focused to do just that, that can avoid a lot of problems later on. When you send that clean claim, when you're sending a clean claim, what does that mean? You adding everything that claim needs to be paid on time. With eAssist, we make sure that if something is missing, I'm going to give you a very common example. We do have a lot of sometimes patients that will come in, they do an SRP on that patient. However, at the time, or it was not collected a period charting, there was no x-rays, no record of indicating that was needed. So that's a part that needs to be in place for that claim to be paid. So we gather that information, we make sure that we send the claim clean for the first time we send it. There's less risk of getting that claim rejected or delayed or gone unpaid. But it's definitely at that moment where you collect that information from a patient when they first walk in. So I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about sending clean claims, is what I was just talking about. We in eAssist, we make sure that we have a lot of options with narratives, and we do know our team is well qualified and have skills to know what we need, what type of x-rays do we need, if we need to see the apses of the x-rays, if we need a bite wing for that x-rays, if it's a panoramic, if it's a FMX. So sending clean claims daily is what we work on, making sure that the narrative is completed, making sure the prior x-ray is done and attached to the claim. And if it's not, we will probably stop and call the office and say, hey, we have actually eAssist created a platform that's called a Grip-On, that we exchange that information with your office to let you know what's missing, and it's HIPAA compliant. It's very safe to use. Also, payments in a timely manner. If you are sending claims that are clean, if you're sending claims that are ready to go with the correct narratives, there are specialties, our skilled people will put it in there, you're for sure going to get that payment on a timely manner. The same goes for appealing. When you send an appeal and you send the correct narrative with the correct letter and the correct requirements for that appeal, it's also less time on your end to get that payment, to get that money in your bank. Another thing that we talked about, and it's very, very important for eAssist, that we see immense amount of results, it's following up on those claims after the 30 days hit. So we do a follow-up every 14 days, 10 to 14 days for general practice. For ortho, if you have an office that's ortho only, we do call to follow up those claims every 30 days. But it's very important to gather information every 14 days for those claims. We are following up on the claim that, for example, hasn't gotten paid yet, or for example, is missing an x-ray or is missing some sort of information. We do call every 14 days until we get that claim paid. So that's one of the things that sometimes in a dental office, you do not have the time to do that. Again, you are checking patients in, checking patients out, making sure that the people in front of you are greeted with a smile, and also taken to the chair, and you, as a dental assistant, as a doctor, you are in front of the patient, giving that patient that attention, and the front desk is usually running, answering the phones and walking patients out. So sometimes that time to follow up on claims is sometimes the offices, I remember sometimes office managers even printing out a list on Monday of claims that they need to follow up on, or patients balance that they need to follow up on. And as the office gets busy, as the phone keeps ringing, that list by the end of the week was not even touched, or barely touched. So there is a very positive on getting services to do that for you, because you're going to get all those claims paid on time, sending correctly, following up correctly, and keeping that AR to a minimum or to a zero and keeping it there. That's our plan for your office. Okay, so regularly reminding patients of overdue balance. I don't know how many times I've come to an office and you are a lot of your staff are worrying about insurance, and sometimes patients would walk out without that payment. They say they didn't know they had a copay, or can you send me a bill? That type of thing can definitely and absolutely be eliminated, given that you're following a protocol from beginning to end, as I was talking to at the beginning. Having the patient know from the hygiene appointment, to present a treatment plan, to then go over that balance, and making sure that that patient knows that that balance is due for data service. You may ask the patient, how would you like to take care of your payment for today? And we also have that service for you to make sure that the patients are aware that those payments are due at the data services. And they also know the cost, because there's a lot of also of encounter various times where patients were frustrated because they didn't know what their copay was. Like I said, sometimes patients come in, they don't even know what they're coming in for, they forget. So having that treatment plan well explained to them with information that was precise collected by eAssist or your staff is very, very important. Patients who are confused when they come to the dental office, or they go in and they don't know their balance, that's going to reduce your patient retention, because as you know, marketing is great, putting your name out there is great, but the word of the mouth is very important. And when patients are saying, I went to this dental office and they took care of me from the moment I called to the moment I left the place, it was all explained well to me. Nothing was wrong with the collections. They did everything they could to get that payment from the insurance company. That is what retentions means. Having that patient, having that kind of peace of mind, knowing that not only they are clinically being taken care of, but they also have people such as myself and my team working hard to get the insurance to understand the treatment handed to the patients, how much they paid for, how much they have to pay for, and the outcome of that whole treatment plan. Sometimes, obviously, the insurance only pays so much, but they are aware of it. We're talking about retention. So we wanted to make sure that we send statements regularly to remind patients to pay. That's if for some reason the patient walked out of the office without knowing that they had a payment that day, or that payment didn't happen, right? The front staff should be trained to make sure that they are collecting that, and also to educate your patients on knowing that that's expecting of them the next day. So call, text, or email, prompting patients to call the office, and sometimes schedule appointments that sometimes they left the hygiene appointment and they didn't schedule their follow-up appointment, they didn't schedule that crown number 19, they didn't schedule that MOD. So those are also things that we can put in place. Having a dedicated line for patients' balance and inquiries and payments, and also having a person to take care of that, which in many cases in dental offices, having one person dedicated just to do one thing, it's not realistic, right? Like I said, I've worked in dental offices, and it's very hard to put one person to do one thing all day because it's a busy environment, and we have to attend to what's in front of us. So it's also something that eAssist can take out of your plate. So the next point here is work and recare, which I started talking a little bit about retention. It goes from, like I said, making sure that the patients know what they are coming in for, and also understanding the treatment plan and understanding what's going to go on that appointment. That can be done from the initial call, and also throughout the appointment when they come in, and making sure that they know that we are doing everything we can, and we're sending clean claims for them to get that procedure paid. So basically, the average patient retention rate is 41%, but ideally, we want an 85% retention. How do we generate that? That's basically what I've been talking about it back and forth with, making sure that the patient has that experience that is comfortable, that is pleasant, and that is informative. We have all that we have all that we need to make sure that we're informing that patient of what they're there for, what they their portion of that procedure is, and also understanding the treatment plan clinically, having someone explain to them, this is your crown, what's a crown. And nowadays, I have to say, people, before they go anywhere, they have informations in their palm of their hands, they look things up, but still a nice thing to know when they show up, and even at the hygiene appointment, to say, you need a crown, this is what a crown is, and taking pictures and showing patients and that kind of nature, and giving that undivided attention and looking patients in the eye, making sure that they understand what you're explaining to them. So that's the difference. And I have to say, from my experience in the over 25 years I've seen this, the whole having a huddle with your office in the morning, and knowing what you have scheduled for the day, with your hygiene appointments, with your um, side appointments, in your column for appointments, what are you doing that day, and knowing that the entire staff does know, in case somebody has heart condition or anything of that nature, and having that pleasant experience, and knowing that every time everyone in the dental office is able to help the patient and answer the question. And it's sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of the times, it's not so much that patients are look for you to know everything, they look for you to know how much you care. Sometimes it's just caring for a patient, and if you do not have that answer, to say, let me get that answer for you. They can tell when a staff or doctors care, and we do care. We go above and beyond to make sure that those claims are sent absolutely impeccable, so you can be happy and your patient can be happy, leading to patient retention. Why is it patient retention important? There's obviously money involved. You can see here that we generate a large amount of revenue on that. However, you also have to think that when you have patient retention, and it's high, not only that patient is going to generate over 4,500 revenue in their lifetime with the practice, they also is going to bring their family, their friends, their neighbors, and I'm sure that everyone that's looking for a dentist, if somebody says, I'm looking for a dentist, do you know any dentist? If that patient is comfortable in knowing that they're well taken care of, they will tell, oh, I do know Dr. Smith. He's great. His staff is great. The insurance always paying all time. I never have an issue with having, unpaid claims. So that is why it's important. But that is important for your, obviously, the successful of your practice, the income, and bringing more revenue to your office, but is also important so those patients can bring more patients, and that's still one of the best ways to keep your practice busy. So there are things that can happen that can add up to so the office can become a big issue, right? We have difficulty when financial discussions. So maybe the person that's presenting a treatment plan isn't completely comfortable with that presentation. The billing process struggles, knowing CDT codes, fee schedule, knowing how to send a clean claim, things of that nature. No budgeting for supplies. Sometimes there is one person in the office that's in charge of doing the ordering for the office. Do you have a budget in place? If you don't, then, you have to, because they will help you. Also, PPO contracts are canceled. Patients do not trust the front desk staff. They are asking them questions. They are not being heard and understood. So that creates a, chaos. And if you add all this up, you're not creating that loop of good experience that I've been talking throughout this presentation. So low team compensation, chaotic scheduling. What is that? So maybe the person that's scheduling the appointment doesn't know what to put the patient, or doesn't know if that's enough time, or is someone that's just training right now. And that can create a chaotic for everyone in the office, including the dental assistants. It's also important to the dental assistants to know to take prior x-rays, because they need to know that, because they obviously, wanted to the best care for the patient, and also for that claim to be paid. We know what a claim needs to be paid. I, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, do have meetings with dental offices where we have discussions on, why your claims are not being paid. We go over all the type of extras that they need to take. We go over what extras needs to take before and after, so your claim can be sent clean. That's part of sending a clean claim. If all this is happening at the same time, your stress level can rise, making not only patients angry, but also frustrated. You, as a provider, you get frustrated because things are not running smoothly. You may be running late all the time. You may not have the x-rays that are needed. You may not have enough information. The patients may not have enough information. The patient may not be well informed of the cost. That can drive them very angry, as I know I've done patient billing for many years, and they do need to know there's got to be some transparency. So this is how chaos and chaotic situation can arise. Sometimes you may have one, you may not have all these, but you may have one or two that can over time lead to more problems, or not that smooth transition, right? Of getting the phone call, getting the insurance information entering correctly, getting that claim sent clean on time, getting that payment in following the EOB. We follow the EOB, right? So that way the patient receive that EOB, so everything's matching. And you do have people, the front desk, that knows how to answer those questions and inform the patients of either clinically, or as far as their payment or their insurance payment. So this is what sometimes create problems, and we wanted to make sure that we don't have those problems. And I want to make sure you don't have those problems. So here is the key. So whenever I talk to clients that are trying to identify what is it that's going wrong, because it's not that everything's going wrong. So we do a check where I call a stop and reset, where we visit how you're doing, how your office is doing each task, starting from patients that are being scheduled, like I said, that first phone call, how the insurance is being entered. Is the insurance person that's getting that data, entering the information correctly in the system? Are your fee schedule updated? Your CDD codes, are they updated? They're updated every year. So that is how we find the roadblock, by visiting each of those sessions. Patients seen for treatment plan. Our patients coming in for hygiene appointment and getting a treatment plan and not schedule these appointments to come back, right? That's what it's the next one. Patients are not being scheduled the same day for treatment, or they are being scheduled for the same day of treatment, but they're not being explained to them what the treatment plan is. Another very important part is patient estimated copay collected. They need to know what their cost is going to be. That goes back all the way to insurance verification to gather that information correctly. And that you need to have the correct date of birth, the correct spelling of that patient's name, and the correct insurance information. You know that how many times we are given wrong insurance cards, or insurance cards that the husband's company already changed insurance company, but the wife didn't know. So they bring the old insurance card and they don't know. So once that's sent to that insurance, that's going to be denied. That's going to create a delay on you getting that paid. So that first phone call, it's very important. Like we had a slide, 80% of the problems happens at the beginning. But we go through all the loops that are important so we can find out Where is the issue? Claims sent correctly. That's also a big one. We don't just sit the patient, take bite wings, do a prophylaxis, doctor exam, and send the patient and send that claim. We have to make sure that that claim is complete with all the narratives, with all the information that's needed, so there's no shadow of the doubt when the insurance receives that claim, that they have everything to send that payment. Because my understanding is that they probably will try not to pay. They'll try not to pay for claims, right? So our job is to make sure that we send that claim clean. And clean means having the information that they need, having the extras that they need, having the period charting that they need. If we're talking about wisdom teeth, having the panoramic that they need, having the information that they need. So when we go through that loop with the dental offices and we find where that is the problem, we correct it and we make sure that we move forward, making sure that the new implementation of the tasks are being done. The next one is someone in the office following up on those payments? Or your office is just sending claims and then just waiting for the checks to come in. And if the checks don't come in, who is following up on that? That's something we do every 14 days. We put notes and we follow up every 14 days to make sure that claims are being paid. And we are on them like white on rice, as we should. Um, Again, we go back to claims being paid on time. What's on time? However, time is between the patient sitting in a chair and receiving that service and that payment coming into your office. That is that is what we want. We want that time limit to be precise and for that money to come in at the right time. Last but not least, the balance is collected from patients. I've encountered on my years of training people to work at the front desk or communicate with patients, or even sometimes presenting treatment plan to patients, is that a lot of people have difficulty of talking about money with patients. It's making sure that that goes smoothly. And we also do that training to make sure that that person who is um, talking about the treatment plan, make sure that the patient knows what they're being charged for and why, making sure that they know that their insurance is paying X amount of dollars, or if they don't have insurance, this is what your payment is. How would you like to take care of that going forward? It's just all those things we check to make sure that we catch where is going wrong, and then we fix it and we resolve. We have an issue and we have a solution. Where do you see in your office that something is being blocked? Sometimes I've seen it all. I've seen doctors that are really well involved and they know what the roadblock is. And I've also known practices where the doctor comes in, does dentistry, the office manager is taking care of things, and she might know where the problem is. But take some time to think about and maybe talk to your staff. Where is the roadblock, if any, that's preventing you from having that flow of coming in, getting the correct information, having a pleasant experience, getting the claim paid, and having your next appointment scheduled? Is it patient billing? Is it the recare report? Is it scheduling existing patients or patients that may have canceled an appointment for whatever reason and they never returned? Who is following up on those appointments? Who is following up on patients that canceled the appointment and did not reschedule because if they didn't have the time, they didn't have their agenda with them that time, or if it's an ortho office, having to coordinate, say, my schedule with my daughter's schedule. She leaves school at 3 with her cheerleading schedule. It can be challenging. So you have to have a person that can make sure that that's accommodating for your patients. Getting complete insurance verification breakdown, like I said, that's very, very important. I cannot stress that enough. If you have the verification breakdown information correct, if it's input that correctly, and we send those clean claims, there should be no other issues. Then it's, on the end of the office to make sure that that patient have that pleasant experience that I've been talking about. Also, keeping up with the CDT codes. As I said, they are renew every year, if I'm not mistaken, in March. And is that something your office is, having issues with? Updating your fee schedule. You've got to find out, and we can do that. Like I said, we go through the loops to make sure where and how we can assist you. That's something for you to think about, and obviously talk to your staff and your office managers to figure it out, if you already know or if it needs to be, discovered. Why are coding resources important? We do provide, it's what's called a practice booster online, which contains all the information and no charge to our clients. And there's so much information there as far as CDT codes. So they're important because you want to get your claims paid, obviously, and you want to make sure that you are sending the correct code with the correct procedure. So obviously, this is a very important part of seeing your patients and having a successful practice. But yes, I would love to explain more about the practice booster. Maybe at the end, if you have some questions or you're interested in our services, we can make a call and I can deep dive into the practice booster, which is amazing. Being honest with yourself, looking closely at each process that you need help with is a huge step towards avoiding dental billing mess and setting your practice for success. There is absolutely only positive steps towards finding out why is the practice having an issue and finding out what that is and fixing and letting someone else take on their hands so you can have a peace of mind to do what you love to do, which is being with your patients and provide dentistry to your patients, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're here for. So it is a huge step to look closely and understand, sometimes from your staff or sometimes from your numbers. Sometimes pulling out reports can be a way to say, okay, something is not right here. There is a huge number on the AR for unpaid insurance claims, and there's a huge number for unpaid patients that they either walked out without pay or they didn't pay their copay. So what's happening? Why is this happening? That's only going to benefit you at the end of the day, right? Communication transparency is so very important. And again, I go back to the communication, even, the way you communicate with our family, the way you communicate with our friends, the way you communicate with our clients, the transparency, the confidence that your staff have to talk to your patients, the confidence that you have presenting a treatment plan. It's very important. That same confidence goes along with making sure that we are working on your aging receivables every 30 days or every 14 days, given, again, if it's a general practice or if it's a ortho practice. But scheduling time to work on your AR should be uninterrupted, meaning if someone is going through your, let's pick you over 90, you print your report of over 90 for insurance that are been outstanding balance, right? That person that's sitting there in front of the computer going through your AR accounts and seeing those numbers just growing or standing there without being paid, that should be a work that is uninterrupted. And we have the people to do that for you remotely. It's hard to keep someone in the office to do that efficiently if they have to be multitasking, right? If they have to be attending to patients and attending to phone calls. So that's a good set of goals. Having statements sent at least once a month, making sure that we are checking the age receivables every 30 days, obviously checking insurance accounts and scheduling time to work your AR uninterrupted. So benchmark, this is just kind of an informative slide here for you to have an idea. I'll let you just take a peek there. But it's definitely what our goal is there, to make sure that if an account is being worked, and it's being followed up every 14 days, and we have the resources and the information to back up that claim, we are going to absolutely get you over 90 to 0 and keeping it there. And it can be challenging to do that, especially since your office, I've had a lot of clients that since COVID, they've had to hire people that didn't have the background in dentistry. So mistakes were made. No one makes mistakes on purpose, but mistakes were made and the accounts just kept rolling, right? That snowball that at the end of the couple years, 2 years, you have this large number of unpaid claims and unpaid patient balance. So, we are here to rescue from that too, because it can be difficult to do that in office. So again, we're back to communications and expectations. I always tell all of my clients, expectations is everything. People expectations will tell you if you can meet them or not, and that's transparency comes through communication, setting goals and communicating those goals to your staff is very important. Very important when outsourcing dental billing processes. Remote teams rely on good communication from the practice. So communication between eAssist and your staff. We have many different ways in communicating with your staff. Like I said, eAssist created a software that's called Agripon, where we share information that might be missing from a claim to be sent correctly. We also have an amazing people on a communication skill to not only communicate with your team, but also with your patients if needed, if we're doing patient portion. But communications, expectations, and transparency is what we do best, I promise. So this is a little bit of information as what we've done. We've collected more than $17 billion from insurance companies. That goes to say, what we do works and is effective, and it's very transparent, and we have a lot of transparency on how we do things to therefore reduce your stress, give you peace of mind to do what you're there to do, which is dentistry, right? You want to pay attention to your clients. You want to have those answers. And that's what we do. We take that, we give you peace of mind. We take that out of your plate. We let your office manager, we let your receptionist do her job to answer the phone. We let your office manager do her job, which is watching over your staff and their schedule and answering patients' questions in front of them. And we take it all that and we just deliver payments. That's what we do. Okay. We are definitely here to help and support you. We are considered part of your team. I'm a team leader. I'm considered a servant to you, to be able to go above and beyond to meet all your expectations, as long as, like we talked about, there's communication there clear. We are here to meet them, and I'm very excited to hear if you have any questions or if you want to move forward with taking this amazing service that we've been offering for many years and having amazing, very, very happy clients. Let me see what we have here. And there you go. Thank you so much.
To say thank you so much for that wonderful presentation and great reminders. And we invite everyone to please enter their questions into the Q&A chat below. And thank you, Angelica. I'm not sure if you heard me before, but that was really wonderful, just reminders on how to communicate effectively within one's
Yes.
office and
Communication is
very
very
importantly,
important.
great.
I
And with
usually say
clients,
it's not what you say, it's how you say it. There's definitely a better way to say anything. So,
right, that's true. Well, yeah, so we'd love to answer any questions. In the meantime, are there any frequently asked questions that you didn't get to touch upon? I just love those scenarios you were giving, especially like when someone shows up, someone's wife shows up instead of the husband and they forget the insurance
yes.
card or
I would say that the conflict with schedule, people are so busy, especially, I have a lot of orthodontics clients that run into the issue with scheduling. That would be the most common one that I've, witnessed is to have someone to make sure that they fit their schedule with the dentist, and also having, because kids have a lot of activities in the school, so that can be a challenge as well. Another one that's very common is that love to hear what people have to say about this, but patients don't carry the responsibility of knowing their benefits. Their expectation is that the dental office does that for them. So when they come in, I oftentimes hear, I don't know what my coverage is. I don't know what they pay. I don't know what my maximum is. Do I have a deductible? I don't even know how much it is. They don't have that knowledge. So it is very important to inform them. It is very important to inform them, and having that security that someone is giving them precise information. That happens very often as well, where they don't know benefits. They actually get the EOB in the mail and they don't know what it is. They bring it to the office. They don't understand. So that's also a very common thing to happen. And we have skilled people to be able to answer those questions.
That is such a good point, and it's so true. That's why I thought it was, it's so true that a client arrives, a patient arrives, and they're expecting to like not have to do any extra work. They don't want any surprises already. This is a big deal. So I thought that was really great too, the way the way you said like they want that experience to be seamless,
Mhm.
and how great to walk out of there with the next appointment. I mean, that's just and to
Yeah.
be doing that with a smile, I think it just, yeah,
Yeah, I say
it
this.
really stands out.
I say they smile as a U. I say we have to do a U where they come in, it's a smile on their face the whole time, and then they leave. And, that way we did our job of making sure that they are seen and understood. A dental office isn't a place that people, oh, I love to go to the dental office. Not, I mean, some people do. I've had patients like, I love coming to see my hygienist. But the reality is that it is something that most people don't have that joy to come. So when they do come and it's pleasant, you are right there making an experience that they had already anticipating to be negative, positive, and that's very huge.
Yes, yeah, that's again just really right on. Um, we still don't have any other questions, and I'm trying to think of what other aspects of the presentation were interesting to hear more from. I mean, the billing piece I thought was very interesting too.
The billing piece is very, yes, that's very important. And I think communication wise, when the person in the dental office that's communicating to the patient their cost, that's very important too. And having that transparency, because I have I've witnessed many, many times where patients will come in and they do not know what their copay is, and they do not know what's happening in their mouth. Or sometimes the dentist decides to do something different, or it is an MO and now it's an MOD, and now their a copay is bigger and now they're paying more, but then they weren't told. And then they come to the front desk and, oh, now this is your copay. Oh, I was told it was $300. What it means $500. So we need a lot of transparency with patients. That's a big one too, to have that treatment plan handed to them, give them a moment to look at it, give them a moment to see what their insurance paying and what is their responsibility. At the end of the day, if the insurance does not pay, it is their responsibility to pay. So it's important for the patient to know that. And I see that, in previous offices that I've worked, there was a lack of that because people have hard time talking about money. And it's, something that should be more smooth and just a transition. They know they're paying. They're coming to the dentist. They know they're going to pay. They just need the information to be clear and accurate.
Gosh, that is so true. Yeah, that and what you're often left wondering like why am I paying more? Like what it just seems like this sort of big nebulous thing that's going on and no one's clear. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, well, we don't have, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting any questions tonight, but I want to just thank you because that was really informative, Angelica. And thank you for laying it out as convincingly as you did. I want to, thank everyone for joining us tonight. We did record this webinar, and again, we're going to be emailing the recording out sometime in the next week. We'd also appreciate your feedback via our survey that's going to pop up on your screens shortly. Thank you again, Angelica, for a wonderful presentation, and
Thank
thank
you
you all
so
for
much.
joining
Thank you
us.
all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you very soon in the future.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.